Another characteristic of life is that all life on Earth must fight for resources. Now, when I talk about resources, we're talking about two major things. The first is going to be matter, and the second is going to be energy. That means that life is made of stuff. You know, you're made of stuff. You're made of cells, but those cells, like we talked about before, are made of macromolecules, or organelles. And those organelles and macromolecules are made of smaller molecules, which are made of atoms. And those atoms you get out there in the world. So that's why you must eat. That's why you must consume materials from the environment to acquire energy and matter to maintain the order that exists inside of you, so that you can grow and develop, so you can reproduce and do all the other characteristics of life that you have. And so that means that life requires you to process energy and matter. Now, here you see an example of the periodic table of elements to remind you that you're made of such elements, and that you require such things as nutrients or chemicals, which are the things that those macromolecules, the proteins, the energy for sugars and carbohydrates, or the lipids or fats, or even the DNA is made of. You are made of those 4 types of macromolecules, and so you're going to need the ingredients or the nutrients that make up of them in order to survive. And which is why in the ecosystem, through things like food web, that matter is going to cycle through the food web, because animals will be trying to get energy and matter by eating each other up, or by making that energy using things like photosynthesis. Like that's what the plant does. But they still have to get roots to suck up nutrients from the soil. That means matter circulates through the ecosystem. Likewise, energy will circulate through the ecosystem. When you consume something else, part of what that person was is the store in the chemical reactions. The bonds inside the molecules, like you see a glucose over here on the screen, that sugar cube has full of these little molecules. And inside those molecules, energy is stored in the bonds that exist between the atoms. And so when I eat food, what I'm doing really is eating the matter that I need to survive and the energy that I need to survive. Now, speaking of energy, there's 2 kinds of organisms that live: autotrophs or heterotrophs. Or another word for this is producer or consumer. An autotroph is somebody who can make their own food. Auto means self. Troph means to eat. Okay? So, or energy. So autotroph makes its own energy. While a heterotroph, hetero means other. You know, that's why heterosexual means to like the other sex. So autotroph means to make its own energy, while heterotroph means I need to consume someone else to get my energy. So a producer like a plant would be an autotroph. And a consumer like a fish or a fox or even a rabbit that's eating the plant, all of these will be consumers or heterotrophs. Now, one of the most common ways by which autotrophs make their energy is photosynthesis, which is the process by which energy from the sun is captured inside the leaves of plants, inside little organelles called chloroplasts, to make glucose and oxygen. Now, the same glucose and oxygen that the plants create is used by everything, including the plants themselves, to create energy later on. Remember, only the leaves of the plants can actually do photosynthesis. The rest of the plant, including all the leaf cells in the leaf itself, will need to eat the sugar the same way that you need to eat the sugar. That means plants will also do the other side of this, which is cellular respiration. Because what the plants do, what the autotrophs do, is that they have the ability to do photosynthesis, which means get the energy of the solar energy and trap it inside the sugar. But then they will try to use that sugar when they don't have the sun, or on the other parts of their body where they don't do photosynthesis. Meanwhile, all the animals and all the other things that need to eat to survive, they will get the energy from the sugars that the plant stored for future use. You know, and then when you eat something that ate the plant, you're eating part of that sugar as well. And so it's a cycle where the energy gets transferred. So that's the photosynthesis reaction there, where you get carbon dioxide and water and capture the energy of the sun and put all that energy inside that sugar, and you also make oxygen in the process. Cell respiration will be the exact opposite, is when you get the sugar and you break it down, in the presence of oxygen, you burn it to release that energy and release carbon dioxide and water. So they're opposite to each other. They complement each other in a way. You know, the energy that was trapped during photosynthesis is released again during cellular respiration, which again makes the water and the carbon dioxide that is needed for photosynthesis to restart the cycle. But notice that this will continuously require a new input of energy coming from the sun. So if it wasn't from the sun, we wouldn't have now life on Earth, because it is the ultimate source of energy for life. But why do we need this energy? We need this energy because everything that we do inside of our body is maintained by what we call chemical reactions. Now, the sum of all these chemical reactions, it's called metabolism. I'm sure you heard about that before. You know, oh, metabolism is too low, so you're gaining weight. that kind of stuff. Metabolism is the sum of your chemical reactions. It's how much stuff you're doing. Every time you're building a protein, every time you're growing, every time you're moving, every time you're developing, every time that you're trying to maintain your internal temperature, trying to maintain your order, trying to build stuff, all of that requires energy. And all of that energy comes from breaking down the sugars inside your food, all the stuff, all the bonds inside the chemicals inside your food. And then you produce waste, carbon dioxide, water, and other byproducts of this whole process of metabolism. And so that way, the energy that you will consume through the food, you use to do your stuff. And some of it get actually released as heat. And then the materials which were not useful, that you could not get energy out of it, you just release as waste. Carbon dioxide and water when you pee. And then if there's any part of the food that was not digested, it goes out as, human waste or whatever animal that's wasting it, in the poop. So as you see, it's all part of a cycle of matter and energy of which life is part of. You have to get that matter because that matter has that energy and it has the building blocks to build more stuff that you need. And so that's the cycle of life where autotrophs and heterotrophs work together to cycle the energy and the matter in the ecosystem.